Hey team, you're about to listen to my interview with Bobby Peliquin from Retail Data Partners. Retail Data Partners is a SaaS technology platform targeted at Amazon 1P sellers to help make their business more efficient, more profitable, and more scalable. Enjoy. This is the E-Commerce Edge podcast with your host, Jason Greenwood. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Pod. I've got a fantastic guest for you today who's going to tell us about his technology that is aimed specifically at Amazon first-party sellers. It's my absolute pleasure to welcome Bobby Peliquin to the podcast today, and he is representing Retail Data Partners. Welcome, Bobby.
Yeah, great to meet you, Jason, and I got a new friend. Pleasure to meet you. Looking forward to this.
Oh, me too, mate. We were talking just before we started up. I was born and raised very close to where you have spent many years of your life. I was born and raised in Riverside, California. You spent a ton of time in LA, and now you're living just outside of Arrowhead, up in the mountains near Crestline, and getting some beautiful weather. And you said you were snowed in for the last week, which is pretty rare. Anybody who lives in the LA area would not think that snows even in the mountains, but it certainly does.
Exactly. Yep. And it snowed a lot. 7 feet.
Wow, 7 feet. Tremendous amount of snow. So much for that global warming, eh?
Yeah.
Listen, it's awesome to speak with you today. I've actually had a couple of other guests in years gone by that talked a lot about Amazon analytics, data, Amazon marketing, pay-per-click, etc. But you guys have a very distinct specialization that makes both your platform and your white glove services and everything that you guys do just that little bit different. And from what I've recognized, and I am no Amazon expert. In fact, funnily enough, I just had my first ever Amazon order arrive to me in Mexico yesterday. First time I've ever ordered off of Amazon, because down in New Zealand where I lived before, it's not common. And what I noticed is that almost the entire industry from a tech perspective around supporting Amazon sellers is all around those third-party sellers, right? Selling directly to the customer via the Amazon platform, as opposed to merchants who are selling directly to Amazon, who then on-sells those products to the end customer. And so your technology, your services, your APIs, everything about what you guys do is targeted at first-party Amazon sellers.
Exactly. Yeah. We haven't said that, though. Omnichannel is a big focus of ours, so we will be adding 3P. We've had a lot of clients ask us to build a comparable solution on 3P, but there is a lot more tools available right now on the 3P side. Where 1P, we're starting to see more pop up, but for a while, I think we were one of the first with being able to do what we do. And now you're definitely starting to see some others out there, but much more limited compared to the 3P side.
Totally. And now your platform is a SaaS platform, and you guys, as far as I can tell, again, I'm no Amazon expert, so I'm relying on you to give me the inside skinny on this, but you provide vendor analytics and you provide a vendor data API. And I'm guessing that you also, because as I understand it, it can be very challenging for first-party vendors who are selling to Amazon to maintain their relationship with Amazon. They've got account managers on the Amazon side. Amazon largely can dictate pricing to the people selling to them, or they just won't buy from them. I guess you can fall afoul of certain rules and regulations of selling to Amazon pretty easily and have your account cut off. You hear horror stories almost every single day of people being cut off from selling to Amazon. And is that primarily because they transgress something operationally or process-wise, that they, by leveraging your technology, it helps to ensure that they can continue to sell to Amazon on an ongoing basis?
Yeah, I wouldn't. It definitely happens. You see a lot of sellers get in trouble. I'd probably say maybe more on the 3P side. The 1P side is where Amazon's buying wholesale. And to your point, they control the pricing. They do all the shipping. So if you're a buyer on Amazon, when you buy on Amazon, ships to or sold by and ships from Amazon, that's the 1P side of the business. The biggest challenge, though, we don't really help keeping you on Amazon as just being able to get the data out of their tools and then being able to get insights, right? So for example, what takes 6 hours to get the insights you need, we had a lead-in battery company tell us we showed them in 2 reports. There's a ton of work being done in Excel with Amazon Vendor Central or 1P. If you hear Vendor Central, it's 1P. You can either call it 1P or Vendor Central. And then you have 3P or Seller Central. So we actually use it. We built this tool. We were originally a boutique ad agency. And like everybody else, whether you're the P&Gs of the world or a smaller agency or brand, you have to spend a lot of time getting the data out and then manipulating it in Excel. So what we do is get all that data out for you and then expose it in this customized dashboard that just makes you be able to see insights really quickly. And what we focus on is we're ingesting all of your data out of Vendor Central, but our core, what we like to call pillars of data, are going to be sales analytics. So being able to see correlations across metrics or trend reports quickly across all metrics, granular look at ASINs or your products, having all of the data in one report where you don't have to click on 30 different links to get that data. So sales analytics, then operations. We worked with a lot of the big recovery companies out there, being able to get your operations data. So all of your PO invoice data, exposing that data so you can be able to just really understand your whole operations business. And then when you have to dispute charges for shortages or overages or chargebacks, we make that what one of the big recovery companies told us, what takes 20 to 25 clicks, we got down to 2. So sales analytics, operations, and then a big focus, especially lately, has been catalog management. So being able to submit changes to your catalog, but then oftentimes what happens is 20, 30% at least of the time, Amazon doesn't make those changes to your product page. So you go in, you change 50 products, the description, bullet points, attributes you want, that gets submitted. We open a case, submit it to Amazon. If that doesn't get changed, you have to go back to all those 50 product pages to check every day to see if it changed. We monitor that to make sure those changes took place, and then really just help monitor the health of your catalog. Whether you want to see, does your images match what you submitted to Amazon, or are you out of stock? Are you losing the buy box? Really just helping manage that health of your entire catalog, which, especially for larger catalogs, gets pretty difficult.
And I guess also from what I can tell, there are almost two halves, if you like, to your platform, or two primary modules, and that is the vendor analytics side and the vendor data API side, which means that from a vendor analytics perspective, not only, as you rightly mentioned, you're monitoring and you're actually pulling in data around sales, invoices, POs, etc. And in some cases, you're actually pulling down data via API that you can't actually get in the Vendor Central dashboard as a seller. Plus, you're also presenting in a really user-friendly way any issue detection for products that you're selling or trends. Let's say your sales fall off a cliff of a certain SKU or something like that. Okay, now we can investigate what happened. Why? Is it our issue? Is it Amazon's issue? Is it a marketing issue? What is it? And then I guess from there, you're also able to provide that catalog reporting in a pretty granular way down to the categories, the brands, account level, etc. And then, of course, as we all know, a huge part of success on Amazon is reviews. And so being able to see what kind of reviews are being placed against your products, managing those reviews, making sure that any salacious reviews or anything negative that is inaccurate is taken down and dealt with quickly. And then, of course, we know that to have success on Amazon, you have to succeed in the buy box. And you guys monitor that as well, and your performance in the buy box. And then I guess on the data API side, correct me if I'm wrong, but you provide a much friendlier API endpoint for merchants to connect to, for example, to pull data out of and get into their ERP or any other analytics, visual data representation platforms, their Tableaus, their whatever it is. You provide a much friendlier way of getting data out versus having to try to connect directly via EDI to Vendor Central as well.
Yeah, so I would say one clarification. We're getting the data that's in Vendor Central. If the data is not there, we can't get it. But yes, what we're doing is making it so Amazon has some APIs, but it's limited. So for example, their advertising API is pretty good. Operations, there's not a whole lot of data you can get out of that. So what we're doing is just making that more accessible. The APIs, we leverage APIs where available, but our secret sauce is being able to get that data out that is not connected to Amazon APIs. And then we're also doing like public scraping from your product pages. So it's really about getting all that hard to get data in Vendor Central out. And then what we do is expose it in this customized dashboard. And that's a big advantage too, where if what we find is a lot of clients, every client looks at data a little bit differently. So there's typically a process where we'll walk through, understand your needs, your goals, and then the clients will say, okay, hey, I need this report here, or I need this data here. So we expose it in that kind of a customized dashboard where it really meets your reporting and business, your process, how you're looking at Amazon's. And then we do have a few clients that we supply the data for. So whether it's like through Google Cloud or Amazon, we're basically sending files daily and they're ingesting it in their own tools. But I'd say about 90% of our clients leverage our dashboard and use our dashboard. And then for agencies, we white label it. So if you are an ad agency and you want this tool to look like it's yours, we're able to put your company logo, domain, and all that. So you have, it looks like your dashboard, your tool.
And as I understand it, Amazon makes certain data only available via their API. Not all of their data is available in their default vendor central portal to merchants. And so therefore, in some respects, you're presenting data back to the merchant that they really only could get if they either built a bespoke tool to connect to, or bespoke middleware to connect to Amazon's API. But because you guys have already done that work, and your platform is a SaaS platform, they get access to a broader depth of data than they would get if they historically have only ever looked at the Vendor Central portal.
Yeah, I would say they can get the data in Vendor Central, but it's really difficult and challenging, right? If you want some key business insights, you're going to have to go into Excel, manipulate it, and really do a lot of manual work. And we were actually tool was built out of us being an ad agency and having to do that. Our account managers were spending way too much time in Vendor Central. Our co-founder had 20 years tech experience. So he built this tool for our ad agency just to make, it more efficient for them and not have to spend hours Excel. So it's really just being able to get the data that takes you a long time, and then getting those insights, really just instead of you having to go and do everything in Excel, we're showing you those insights really quickly, right? Whether it's sales trends, loss opportunity because we're out of stock. And we're doing a lot of the calculations and manipulation that you would normally do in Excel for you. Yep.
Makes sense. So that way you can see trends like month over month, week over week, year over year, those types of comparative analytics that where you'd have to create like a pie chart or you'd have to create a graph in Excel. You guys are already presenting those as out of the box default reports and visualizations that you just would not be able to get through the default Amazon portal.
Sounds like you can sell for us, Jason. Exactly.
For any merchants, look, this kind of data is super critical if you want to continue to sell directly to Amazon. And I guess that some merchants will do a blend, right? Sometimes they'll sell part of their catalog as 1P to Amazon, and then the rest of their catalog they might sell via 3P. But really, at the end of the day, you need to be able to have some sort of central hub for your analytics and your business performance so that you can optimize that business performance over time. If you're not, what they say is you can't improve or you can't fix what you're not reporting on or what you're not monitoring or what you're not watching, right? And so this, more than anything else, allows brands to be a lot more proactive as opposed to reactive.
Reactive. Yeah, exactly. In those trend reports, to your point, that's something we actually just added recently, where for any metric you want, you can quickly look, whether it's year over year, month over month, quarter, week, day over day, and you can quickly just gain that insight by looking at a nice dashboard and see how you're trending across any of those time periods for any metric, which takes quite a bit of time to do if you're going to just use Vendor Central's tools.
Yeah, and I guess also it would require not only time inside Excel or Google Sheets or whatever it is, but I'm sure that a lot of brands have spent mega time creating custom macros and custom reports and custom sheets that they then have to import that data in and run it. And they have to download it every single time they want to run a new report. And so for you guys, because you're pulling it down, I'm guessing in near real time, they can run those reports at any time simply by logging.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. So they log in and they see that data for across any of their functions, whether it's operations, like I said, catalog or sales analytics. We're updating the data constantly throughout the day. So it is as real time as possible. And they have access to just a bunch of reports. There's anything from what was uninvoiced to your sales analytics to that catalog health. Yep.
And how long have you guys been doing this? Now, you said it sprang out of the need, effectively built an internal tool for agency use, and then you thought, geez, this is ridiculous. Why don't we just turn this into a SaaS tool that anybody can subscribe to and use themselves, or agencies can white label from us based on our experience? So how long were you operating as an agency delivering services versus how long has your retail data partners been live for and available for?
Yeah, great question. So we were using this for several years. We transitioned to a SaaS company in early 2021. And then prior to that, we had used it for a few years as our agency. I came on board to help build it and then transition to SaaS. And it's been, we've been a SaaS company ever since. And we work with anyone from ad agencies to brands across. So right now, we're mostly focused in North America and then the EU. Having said that, we can work in Asia or anywhere. We just haven't had any clients right now that selling in those regions. But yeah, we've been using it for a little while now. And yeah, we're excited. We have some good features coming up in the pipeline, and especially focused on disputes and being able to get those chargebacks and shortages, recovery of those charges that really add up. And we have a unique forecasting tool. We have a really interesting product roadmap. I think that's going to be very beneficial for our clients.
That's just awesome. And I guess you grew up right smack in the middle of the pandemic when demand for online and particularly Amazon was going through the roof. So you couldn't have had better timing in terms of turning your platform into a SaaS form with a subscription. Talked a
Yep.
little bit about some of the things that are on your roadmap. Were these things that your customers were crying out for? Or were they things you already knew? Hey, we know we want to add these things. We know we need these tools. As an agency, we needed these tools anyway. You already have a very well established roadmap of functionality you want to add from an internal vision perspective. But are there other things that your merchants are asking for that are also on your roadmap, or has it been project-led growth and kind of product-led growth all the way through?
Yeah, great question. So back to the growing up and with the pandemic, one thing we definitely saw is I think in the EU, Amazon really started to explode, right? I think Amazon's been big in America for a while, but in the EU, we've seen it just take off since COVID. And I think that's why about 60% of our business is in the EU. In terms of our product, I think we've always been more focused and understand just based on our learnings, because we were an agency, so we knew the lay of the land and built tools that helped us internally. But then for the last year and a half or so, we've really just taken in all that feedback from the lead and recovery companies or companies that really understood Amazon, what we call the Amazon puzzle. So we got to the point where we just kept adding new features based on clients' needs and just the industry's needs. And I think we've gotten to a point now where we have this solid product but we do have some features that are being asked for. One is, to your point earlier, clients selling 1P, 3P. So building a comparable tool for 3P. That is a big priority of ours, going omni-channel, having this one dashboard across Amazon 1P, 3P, Walmart 1P. And then, we really do like to consider ourselves as your partner and help build in win-win situations that help drive your business, make you more efficient, and help you drive sales on Amazon, and just taking that feedback and building the most comprehensive tool on the market.
And looking beyond the 3P build out, how much are you guys looking to potentially get into Amazon ad management? It's the third largest ad platform in the United States now. Retail media is going through the roof. With your background in retail and news, data, analytics, etc., is that something looking beyond 3PL that you guys would like to also bring some additional tooling to market to help brands manage all of their advertising activity across Amazon as well?
Yeah, that's a really good question. My background, I spent 11 years at Nielsen. So advertising, I was doing advertising research for all these big holding companies and brands. So I'm pretty passionate about advertising. But there are some great tools out there right now. I think that's why we haven't focused as much on that. Having said that, I definitely envision enhancing our advertising, because I do think that there's still some gaps and holes that we can help fill, just really be able to give that full tool across all of the other pillars we mentioned. And then on top of that, advertising. We do have some good advertising data, though. We're taking in all of your advertising. We're more of an analytics tool as opposed to an ad optimization tool. Having said that, that's definitely something we have considered, but there's some pretty good players out there that do a great job right now. But having that one tool across all of those features, I think, is definitely of interest to us. And we've certainly talked about that.
And have you guys also considered the fact, and I'm sure you have, everywhere around the world, every country and even some smaller regions than countries, cities, areas, states, etc., have their own kind of favorite local marketplace. Down here in Mexico, Amazon is huge, of course, but there's Mercado Libre and there's a couple of other major marketplaces down here. In New Zealand, there's Trade Me. In Australia, probably the most over marketplaced country in the world. There's about 20 popular marketplaces down in Australia. Then if you look at Europe, they've got their own marketplaces. In Asia, they've got their own. And is this something that it feels like, now that you've got this experience, this knowledge, this capability, this technology, this tool set aimed fairly and squarely at Amazon? Now, I know other marketplaces, their tooling is different, their APIs are different, data sets are different, but at the end of the day, they operate in very similar ways, and particularly some of the Chinese marketplaces that are exploding in popularity. Is that at any point, do you feel like, hey, we're so busy with Amazon right now and with our roadmap focused on Amazon that we're not really even thinking about other marketplaces? Or are you thinking, hey, at some point, we're going to exhaust the opportunity on the Amazon side of things, and we're going to take our knowledge, our understanding, our skill, our expertise, and our platform, we're going to start applying it to other marketplaces as well?
Yeah, 100%. That's always been a goal of ours. We feel 3P would be the next one. And then what we're hearing from clients and agencies and brands is Walmart 1P. It sounds like they're growing year over year. I think I want to say 12%. I think there's a huge opportunity. We've had clients that are very knowledgeable in the industry say that's the next gold mine. But I think Walmart would be our first priority after Amazon 3P. And then from there, we've identified a handful of platforms, but I think it will really be client demand dependent on what our clients need. Near term, it's going to be Amazon 3P and Walmart 1P.
Nice. And what is your sense, with your finger on the pulse of the market? What is your sense on eBay? eBay it's gone through its ups and its downs over the last decade. They've done some amazing things. They've done some amazing things wrong, but they haven't, I guess, from a modernization perspective, their platform could be considered legacy in many respects. And it's even got a legacy look and feel still. But for example, down in Australia, eBay is absolutely massive. For a long time, it was the biggest marketplace in Australia, dominating absolutely everyone else in their combination, their 1-2 punch with PayPal. PayPal, massive adoption in Australia. From your perspective, what is Amazon doing? What are they doing? Sorry, eBay. What are they doing right? What are they doing wrong? And do you think they'll ever see the heights that they have historically?
Yeah, I honestly, we haven't even looked at eBay. I was an early adopter of eBay way back when they first launched. I was selling on there, buying on. I was looking to buy cars on there back when I first moved to California. So I was a huge fan of eBay, but in terms of our business, we really haven't had any clients even mention eBay. So it's not something we've even looked at, unfortunately. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that sort of aligns with a lot of what I'm seeing in the marketplace, which is that I guess eBay's lost a lot of its luster. It's primarily for secondhand goods, or a lot of their business is secondhand goods, people clearing out the garage. People that don't want to sell on Craigslist might sell on eBay instead. And it feels like they're going down that route of the community bazaar as opposed to the source of all brand new retail goods across almost every category.
Yeah, no, I agree. Exactly. Yep.
And for you guys, how do you guys make your money? How do you charge? Is it a flat SaaS fee? Is it based on the size of their catalog? Is it based on the number of reports they run? How do you guys make your money?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So we are a monthly subscription. And then typically what we do is depending on the size of the catalog, we had one client with 300,000 ASINs. So then there's like a yearly integration fee. But if it's a smaller catalog, like under 10,000, there's typically just a monthly subscription. And then depending on the country, for example, like the US, we have a flat rate that is higher than the individual EU countries, just because of the size of the amount of the territory, the region. But what we typically do is we like to work with you we're just big believers in win-win situations. We consider ourselves your partner. We want to help you grow. We like to just negotiate on a flat rate across. If you have 20, if you're an agency with 50 accounts versus 2, you're going to pay less. And then for those clients in the EU, we typically look at how many countries you're in. And then if you're in 8 to 10, we'll have that one flat rate versus charging you 8 times the single rate amount. So typically it's just a monthly subscription, and then you get access to all the features. Every now and then we'll have a client say, hey, I only wanted your operations. Can you work with us on the price? And you'll get a discount. But I'd say that almost all of our clients like to take advantage of their whole tool, and then they pay that monthly subscription.
Traditional SaaS modeling, beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Subscription model, very predictable revenue, which is awesome, and very predictable cost for your customers. Now, just to give us some guidance and some insights on what that might look like for the average merchant, let's say I've got 10,000 SKUs or less, with 5 to 10,000 SKUs, what roughly am I going to be paying per month for individual access to your platform?
Yeah, so in the US, it's $1,500. Having said that, I can envision us going up a little bit in the future. In the EU, it is $450, or Canada as well, Mexico, Canada, India, and then the EU, it's priced at $450 a month. And like I said, if you have 8 EU countries, then we work on a price that fits your budget, and that's fair for both. It makes us both.
That sounds fair. And what if you had to estimate the split of direct merchant customers versus agency customers? Is it 50-50? Is it 70-30? When you first produced your platform, were you targeting merchants, or were you targeting agencies, or targeting them equally? Kind of what route did you go to market initially?
Yeah, it's definitely both. We knew it just depends on the brand, how they are set up for managing their vendor central business. I would say it's about 50-50 agencies and brands, and then about 60-40 EU to North America. For some reason, I think after COVID, EU just really, like I said, Amazon exploded, and we found a lot of EU companies reaching out, or us having great traction with them. So 50-50 agencies, brands, but we're targeting both. We have, it's really anybody selling on Vendor Central. Our sweet spot, I'd probably say, is like that 5 to 50 million range. But we have some of the big CPG companies doing hundreds of millions of dollars. It's really anybody selling on Vendor Central. We've had smaller brands to some of the biggest in the world, because I think we're all in the same boat, where if you're on Vendor Central, it's just you either hire a team to get all this data out and work in Excel, or you use a tool like this that just makes you more efficient and saves your time, so you can focus on strategy and driving your business instead of playing around in Excel all day.
Totally. And do you think that do you have contacts at Amazon that you guys work with and liaise with, and on the tech side, et cetera? Or does Amazon see you as a frenemy, an enemy? How do they see you? Do they see you as making their lives easier in terms of integrating with and working with their 1P vendors? Do they see you as a thorn in their side, a risk to them? Do they see you, would they like to basically build out this type of service direct to their 1P vendors, or do they see you as really making their lives easier?
Yeah, I think, I don't really know if there's how their opinion is. We don't have any contacts there anymore. Having said that, one of our advisors is really well known in the Amazon Vendor Central space. They're a private equity company along with an ad agency who has some early Amazon employees there. So a ton of knowledge in the space that we leverage them for, of course. In terms of Amazon, I don't think they see us either way. I don't even think we're a blip on their radar. I think if anything, we help just because we help our clients drive business. And the more our clients sell, the more Amazon makes. So I don't think we're a threat or even any focus. And there are some other companies that doing similar things now, the market, and over the last year or so, I'd say we were one of the first, if not the very first, to have this type of tool. And then a couple more have popped up that we're doing some similar things. I think we're a little bit more comprehensive just from the feedback. We're exposing a little bit more of the data than some of our competitors do. But yeah, I don't think we're one way or another Amazon sees us. Yeah.
I mean, they're pretty inwardly focused, I guess, unless you're abusing the APIs in some way that they don't want you to, or unless you're doing something that is explicitly against their terms of service. They seem so inwardly focused at the moment, and Andy Jassy's got his bloody hands full with Amazon at the moment, and cutting people everywhere. So I can't imagine that unless you are a massive company doing billions of dollars a year in business, I can't see that. Yeah, I totally understand your point. They're inwardly focused on everything that they're doing in the market, that they tend not to think about anyone else, and possibly in some instances to their detriment, to be honest.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I think we're very careful about making sure we follow the terms and doing everything on the up and up. And I think their focus really, to your point, right, inward, and then advertising, huge part of their business. They make a ton on advertising. I think they're highly focused on that.
And their margins on advertising are just ridiculous. It's you can see it's having a material impact on their retained margins, especially lately in their last few quarters of earnings. That the ad business is just ridiculous for them.
It really is. Yeah, I think that's been a big revenue drive when where they're focused. Yep.
Yeah, good stuff. Listen, it has been absolutely amazing speaking with you, and we're coming to the end of our time together. It's been awesome to learn more about your tool and to learn more about Amazon 1P and how they do things and where they're headed and where you're headed. But I get to turn the microphone over to you now, and I get to let you ask me one question, any question you like. And so it can be personal, professional, doesn't matter. And so I'm going to turn the microphone over to you, Bobby Peliquin from Retail Data Partners. What's your question for me?
Yeah, Jason, just great to meet. I really appreciate having you on. This has been a lot of fun. And I got a new friend. I got to ask, where's your next trip outside of Mexico? I'm a world traveler. I love your travels and how you're living life. Where was one place you want to go?
Look, I think my next trip outside of Mexico will be to the States, because I'm going to go to the DC 360 B2B conference in July. And so I'm really looking forward to that. That was actually one of the motivations of moving to Mexico, is to be closer to the North American market, closer to the States market. But I tell you, my wife is Asian, and so we definitely want to spend a lot more time in Asia moving forward. We've been to Bali together, and we've been to a couple of other places together. But really, I think we'd love to go to Thailand. We've heard such great things about Thailand. I'd still love to get to China at some stage, although it's a bit fraught at the moment with all the winding down of their COVID stuff at the moment. And I'd love to get to Singapore. Right before COVID, I was actually supposed to go in Singapore, and I was actually supposed to be a speaker there. And then COVID hit literally about a month before the conference was supposed to happen and everything got canceled. Love to get to Singapore. Haven't been there before. I'd love to get to Malaysia. There's a few places, but definitely outside of the United States, I'd love to get to those places. And then I'd love to get to Panama. I've heard great things about Panama and a few other places in Central and South America. So yeah, I think Asia, for lots of trips to North America for conferences, and then from there.
Fantastic. I have been to Thailand and China. I've been to China twice, Thailand once. If you need any recommendations, let me know. I absolutely love both of those countries. Asia's just all over Asia. I love Asia. If you need any recommendations, hit me up. And of course, if you're in California, we'd love to have you. I'd love to meet up or have you over at our house.
Likewise, if you head to Mexico anytime soon, look us up. First round of margaritas is on me. We'll have a great time, and we'll sit and we'll compare war stories about the industry. And if anybody else wants to, if anybody's seriously selling 1P, doing some decent business, and they want to get a hold of you, what's the best way for them to get a hold of you? Are they best to go to retaildatapartners.com? Are they best to reach out to you on LinkedIn or other channels? Are you on Twitter? How would you prefer people get a hold of you?
Yeah, my email is bobby@retaildatapartners.com. And then I'm on LinkedIn under Robert with parentheses, Bobby Peliquin. So both LinkedIn or email, bobby@retaildatapartners.com would be great.
Awesome. And I see that you've got the opportunity, obviously, for people to reach out to you via the website as well. So
yeah, exactly. Yep. Exactly.
And look, I've learned a ton from you. Like I said, I am no Amazon expert by any stretch of the imagination. I now know more about it than I did before, and I really appreciate your expertise and sharing it with the audience. And I'd love to speak with you again soon as you develop out that 3P portion of the platform.
That sounds great. And again, thank you so much for having me. This was a lot of fun, and look forward to connecting again.
Are you a B2B or D2C e-commerce merchant? Then head over to greenwoodconsulting.net to learn how we can help you scale your business.